chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range three, and it's good at the buzzer!
This shot right here sucked the soul out of the Thunder. 78 days after Damian Lillard hit that shot, Paul George was traded to the Clippers, and one day after that, Russell Westbrook was traded to the Rockets. People were saying Damian Lillard ended a franchise. It got so out of hand that fans were leaving the Thunder death threats, saying they wanted to kill everyone in the front office. But what if I told you Damian Lillard buzzer beater wasn't the end of our franchise, it saved it. This Thunder team was never going to achieve anything significant and was going to drive themselves insane. After 3 seasons of disappointing playoff exits, it was time for a big change. The first big change was trading Paul George to the Clippers. In the Paul George trade, the OKC Thunder received Gilgeous-Alexander, Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, and 2 first-round pick swaps. At the time, so many people were focused on the picks, they didn't even realize the Thunder were getting a nice young player in Shea. Shea had shown flashes of becoming a solid player, but nobody could have predicted of what Shea would turn into. The next day, Russell Westbrook was traded to the Rockets. This had OKC fans confused. They didn't know how to feel. They had just traded away their franchise player. In the trade, OKC got Chris Paul, who was coming off his worst season ever, and they also got 2 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. The Thunder were planning on to trade Chris Paul before the season started, but Chris Paul asked if he could stay on the team. This ended up benefiting the Thunder in a huge way. In the draft, the Thunder would select Darius Bazley, but then the Thunder would also sign undrafted rookie Lou Dort to a 2-way contract. That year, a lot of people thought the Thunder were gonna be god-awful, but they ended up being shockingly very good. Chris Paul also had a bounce-back year. Shea broke out as a player and became one of the best young players in the NBA. Lou Dort was the best defensive rookie in the NBA, and his 2-way contract later turned into a normal contract halfway through the season. The Thunder also got great production from Gallinari and Steven Adams. The Thunder also had one of the best 6-mans in the NBA fumble the bag Dennis Schroeder. He ended up finishing second that year, losing the award to Montrezl Harrell. The Thunder finished at the 5th seed that year, and they would face off against the Rockets in the first round. It was a very close series. James Harden was kinda struggling. Lou Dort's defense was the real deal. Also, Russell Westbrook didn't look like himself. It could have been a knee injury, or he could have just forgot what team he was playing for. In Game 7, Lou Dort turned into prime Michael Jordan. He dropped 30 points and played great defense on Harden. But sadly, he would make a huge mistake. With 5 seconds left, the ball gets swinged to Dort. He lines up for the shot and gets blocked by Harden. Then he steps out of bounds, and that was the end of the Thunder season. That offseason, Chris Paul was traded to the Suns, and in return, the Thunder received Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, Ty Jerome, and a first-round pick. The Thunder building up Chris Paul's trade value ended up being huge for them. In the draft that year, the Thunder would trade a couple of late first-round picks and Ricky Rubio for the 17th overall pick. They would select Poku. He sorta has been a disappointment so far. He just hasn't developed as much as you would have liked over the past couple of years. Then they would flip Kelly Oubre for 2 second-round picks from the Warriors. Then they would trade Steven Adams for a first-round pick, George Hill, and Kendrick Williams. Kendrick Williams was a steal of a pickup. He's been really solid and is a great role player for the Thunder. The Thunder also traded fumble the bag Dennis Schroeder to the Lakers for Danny Green and a first-round pick, but the Thunder weren't done yet. Then they would trade Danny Green to the Sixers for Al Horford and another first-round pick. Sam Presti was out here collecting first-round picks like they were Infinity Stones. With the Thunder officially starting the rebuild, the team overall just had a lot of holes and they weren't going to be good, and they would end up sitting a lot of players towards the end of the year. Tanking would improve the Thunder's odds in the lottery. The Thunder would end up finishing 14th at the bottom of the Western Conference. That offseason, the Thunder would trade Al Horford to the Celtics for Kemba Walker, and you predicted it, another first-round pick. A couple months after that, Kemba Walker and the Thunder would agree to a buyout, and this would save the Thunder a lot of money. In the draft that year, the Thunder would select 6'8" Australian guard Josh Giddey with the 6th pick. This was a huge reach at the time because many sports pages and analysts had Giddey as a late lottery pick. They practically said Josh Giddey's biggest weakness was basketball. The Thunder would also draft Trey Mann and Aaron Wiggins later in the draft. The Thunder would also extend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to a 5-year max contract, and the future in OKC was looking very bright. In the next season, the Thunder looked a little better, but still were too young to play winning basketball. Josh Giddey had a great rookie season. He averaged 12.5 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 6.4 assists. Giddey also dropped the 3 youngest triple-doubles in NBA history and made the rookie second team. Lu Dort took a massive jump and had a terrific year where he averaged 17 points per game. The Thunder would end up missing the playoffs, but the Clippers would find themselves in the play-in tournament. Paul George would end up catching the virus right before the game, and the Clippers would end up losing. This meant the Thunder got an extra lottery pick. In the lottery that year, the Thunder got the 2nd and 12th overall picks. On draft night, the Thunder would select Chet with the 2nd overall pick. Then they would trade 3 first-round picks to acquire the 11th pick from the Knicks, and they would end up selecting Ousmane Dieng. Then with the 12th pick, they selected J-Dub. In the 2nd round, they would get Jalen Williams. In free agency, they would find a gem in Isaiah Joe. He was a certified sniper for the Thunder and ended up being one of the biggest steals of the offseason. But then something bad would happen to the Thunder. In the offseason, Chet would suffer a foot injury trying to guard Go in a pro-in league. This would lead to Chet missing the entire season. Even with the Thunder not having Chet, they had a great year. This sexy man Shea took the superstar jump. Shea ended up averaging 30 points per game and made the all-star team. Josh Giddey got a little better as well. He became a much better 3-point shooter and even was more aggressive on the offensive side of the ball. But I think the 2 most impressive players were J-Dub and Jalen Williams. J-Dub was one of the best rookies this season. I believe he finished top 3 in Rookie of the Year, and he's shown a lot of potential and can flat out just score the ball. As for Jalen Williams, he is one of the most underrated rookies this year. He showed the ability to stretch the floor, and I think he'll be a key player off the bench next season. Like I said, Isaiah Joe was lights out from 3 this year. Throughout the entire year, the Thunder were in the playoff mix. Some days they were at the 6th seed, and other days they were at the 12th seed. That's how insane last year's playoff race was. They somehow found a way to sneak into the play-in tournament. They would beat the Pelicans in a very close game, and Shea hit some clutch free throws to seal the deal. But in the next game, they would end up losing to the T-Wolves and miss the playoffs. This offseason, the OKC Thunder really haven't done much. They've made one big time trade, and that was taking on Davis Bertans' contract to move up in the draft. In the draft, they selected Cason Wallace, a 6'4" guard out of Kentucky. He will improve the Thunder's defense off the bench, and he's also a pretty solid passer. He has shown the ability to knock down the open transition 3, and he often gets compared to a player like Drew Holiday. I'm expecting big things from the Thunder this up and coming season. They have so many young guys that I could see taking a massive leap. They have a great bench, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a dog. I'm also a strong believer in Ousmane Dieng, and he's going to have a bounce back year. J-Dub and Chet are the real deal, and I'm saying it here, the Thunder are going to be a 5th seed at the least and are going to shock the basketball world. Mark my words.